great day. It's very promising. We never expected such intense fights before the start of the race. So we thought the boat were going to approach the line, the starting line, and in fact, we had this great fights before the start. So we have two good news today. One is Emirates Team UK has recovered after such a bad first day. They are aggressive on the starting line. And two, we really have some great race on the water, even better than expected, I must say. Change of lead, tight maneuvers, really close duel. So the results of today is race 5, Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli winner against American Magic by 12 seconds. Race 6, Emirates Team New Zealand winner against Ineos Team UK by 1:32. Race 7, American Magic winner against Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli by 30 seconds. On race 8, Emirates Team New Zealand winner against Ineos Team UK by 1:42. So the delta also are quite close. It's good news. So the results board, we have American Magic and Emirates Team New Zealand leading with 3 points. And then Luna Rossa third with 2 points, and then Ineos Team UK. So first, we will regroup the races. So first, we talk about the two races between Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli, and American Magic. And my first question goes to Jimmy. You were penalized twice for entering the starting area too early. Are you just very hot, or do you have a problem with your systems?
No, we've just been battling away with this RMS system. We just continually get the incorrect data on where marks are meant to be, and yeah, you just saw it happen in 2 starts. So it's pretty frustrating for the guys.
So is that just a technical problem?
Well, yeah, I mean, we get sent the data, and it's not correct, and so it's frustrating. You know, I mean, you know, you're probably wondering why you're entering early. We're entering early because the mark's not where we got sent the position. So yeah, it's frustrating. But look, you know, I think the key part was it didn't stop us from being competitive and having a shot at winning the race. And the guys did a nice job in the first race, and we had a great race in the second one against Dean and Paul and the guys, and you know, they were able to do it. But at both races we were competitive. I thought we did a much better job today than we did yesterday, and we just got to keep building on that and keep improving.
So Paul, you are a member of the British Empire. You are a multiple world champion. You are a mainsail trimmer aboard American Magic, and you have a great race today. But you see, it seems that you had a problem after tacking after the start of the first race. Is it a technical problem or a human problem?
Well, the guys are working on it right now. The button was pressed and the board didn't come up, but lucky we have alternate buttons that we can press to also raise the board. So in the end, we managed to raise the board correctly, but it was a bit late then. We were in the water and we had some catching up to do. But again, the team battled hard. We did really well to come back to as close to Luna Rossa as we did, and a little unfortunate at the end.
You appear to be a little faster downwind or a little slower upwind. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's in the noise. Obviously, we're sailing in a very shifty, unstable venue. I think at times we have a little edge downwind. At times it's even. At times maybe they have a little edge upwind. But it's almost an even boat race.
And Jimmy, you had this problem before the start. You didn't foil for a while. What was the problem before the start?
Before the start, I don't know, to be
Suddenly
honest.
you were down. Slow.
Yeah,
that's why the second start was not so good.
During the pre-start?
Yes.
Yeah, we had you know, like I was saying, we had the mark in a different position to what the RMS said, so we got a penalty in entry, and then we had to try and get one back to even it up. So I thought Keko did a pretty nice job getting one back on these guys just before we were about to sort of arrive on Bean Rock. And then during that manoeuvre, yeah, we didn't execute that as well as we could have. So that'll definitely be something we'll be talking about tonight. And unfortunately, if we'd executed that manoeuvre well, we would have been off, all clear in the penalties. So yeah, look, lot to learn. We did some really, really good things today, but as usual, there's a lot to work on.
And Pete, congratulations for today. You were about to touch the windward mark with your foil. It was very scary to watch. What was your feeling then?
Yeah, definitely went a little bit too close to it, but yeah, quite glad we didn't touch it. They seem like quite solid objects, but yeah, for ourselves, it was quite, I suppose, a pretty nice day out there again. Yeah, it was, I think Jimmy touched on it, but yeah, pretty shifty, tricky kind of dynamic day, and we really enjoyed the racing.
And you had also a bad jibe approaching the Ludemark, and you jumped and fell down. What was the problem? It was a problem or just a bad maneuver?
Oh, just a bad manoeuvre. It's
spectacular, though.
Yeah, we try not to do that kind of thing, but it happens from time to time, and I think it just shows you how small the margins are on these boats. If you get something right, it looks all very smooth and clean, and if you get something wrong, it looks a bit loose like that did. But yeah, we were obviously in a pretty good spot in that race. So we could just work our way around the mark and then get going again.
So Ben, you were very aggressive at start. It looked like you are back to a fighting mode. Congratulations for being such a fighter. How can you improve the speed of your boat in the next 3 weeks before the Prada Cup starts?
Good question. Have you got any ideas? Have you got any ideas?
No, but we expect some answers.
Yeah, clearly we've got a bit to work on. We had a much better day. It feels a bit strange to say losing 2 races was a positive day, but certainly from yesterday, with the issues that we had, it was a much better day for the team. Credit to Pete and his guys; they sailed bloody well, and were, certainly have got a clicker performance, which is the most concerning thing for us right now. Is how can we close that gap, and that's, as you say, Bruno, that's what we've got to work on over the next couple of weeks.
After the start, we had such a good lead. We all thought we were going to stay there.
Yeah, I think we
okay, questions from the audience, and then we switch to Zoom again. Question for the audience. Yes.
So Ben, can you just talk us through that jibe that you did at the start when you saw Team New Zealand die? And it looked like you just saw the main chance and crashed through. It's a pretty ballsy move given the issues you'd had yesterday with the foil arms.
Yeah, it was. The start box was much tighter today with the location of the course and that start area. And I think all the teams were struggling to find space, and it was tight. And we saw Luna Rosa and American Magic almost end up on Bean Rock and had a real good tussle over there. So we kind of thought about what strategy might work, and ended up being a real tight jibe again for both teams to get back up to the start line. And our guys did a great job with that maneuver. It's a lot's got to come together with the sail trim, the guys helping fly the boat, and myself on the wheel, and Giles as well, who's our tactician and helping with flying the boat. So lots got to come together. The guys pulled it off, and it got us through. But we were obviously watching the Kiwis coming at us ominously, and thinking, how can we make these performance gains to our boat?
Yes, Matt.
Do you also have concerns with the RMS system, what Jimmy was saying before about the timing? Because you guys are a bit off, with your timing at the start as well today.
Yeah, I think it's something that, looking at the long term of the program, COVID has stopped probably a lot of the build-up, events to this, and the race committee I think is doing a great job, putting on races out there and generally getting us the right information. But it's by a few, obviously every now and then you have to go a bit more by eye, and for us, obviously I think it was in our first race, the mark was actually getting towed and quite far out of position, but we just ended up running it off a stopwatch on that entry. So play on.
Next, Todd Neal.
Ben Todd Niall from Stuff. Was it an all-nighter in the boat shed? Can you tell us how much went on and for how long?
It's pretty much always an all-nighter at the moment for the shore guys. I mean, they get an absolute flogging with these boats, and they really are the unsung heroes of the America's Cup. All the guys here would agree with that. You can't say enough about your shore team. And these boats, are, as we talked about, they're hugely technical. They take a lot of resource to keep them operating. And our guys are amongst the best. And so, yeah, we're hugely grateful that turned it around, got us back out on the water. And they'll be pulling another all-nighter tonight and going on and on. They're seriously impressive, their commitment.
Thank you, sir.
Jimmy, Mark Hinton here from Stuff. I think Dean set out on the water today that it was, the two races that you guys had was old school type racing. I guess no one knew really with this class of boat, what the match racing was going to be like. You've had two contests decided by less than 30 seconds. Just what are your observations of, I guess, the fine lines and the match racing component that's coming into it?
Well, Dean's quite a bit older than me, so when he says old school, I don't think he was mentioning me. Maybe he was just talking about himself. But no, it was definitely some good racing. That's what we all want, let's face it. We felt like we had that today. I think both teams could have come off the water winning two races, for sure. We felt we could have won two, and I'm sure Goody would say the same. So that means it's tight competitive racing. The worry is, I think the Kiwis are a big step ahead of the challengers. Whoever comes out of this challenger group has got a big gap to bridge at the moment, and we're seeing that on the water.
Paul, do you agree with that question?
Yeah, I think we've all got a lot of work to do. I guess in our favour, we do have the Challenger Series where we're all going to get more time to race and fine-tune our racing skills. But at the end of the day, I think we are a little step behind where we need to be more competitive with these guys. I guess as we showed yesterday, they are beatable, but you have to sail a really good race.
Peter Duncan Johnson from Stuff. Could you just sort of run through your day, your general feelings? And I mean, these guys are talking about you having a bit of an extra click. I mean, the way you caught up there after the messy start, it must be reassuring to have a bit of gas up your sleeve at the moment.
Yeah, well, I think probably firstly, full credit to Ben and his guys for getting out there today and giving us a good challenge. It was something that for us, I think Goody touched on it, but we don't get a whole heap of practice in the pre-start, and today was a pretty interesting configuration with not much space, especially on the starboard side of the box. So to be able to see that and learn from it was something that's pretty cool. We also had pretty good dial down in that first pre-start, which was something that we haven't done yet in these boats. So to be able to go through all those kind of things is great learnings for us. But then we were pretty happy with the kind of open course performance today, and obviously. He didn't do the best job of executing that last pre-start, but apart from that, I think we did a great job just knuckling down and trying to get on the right side of a few shifts and minimise the manoeuvres, and then made a pretty nice game in that first lap.
More questions from the floor?
Just going back to Jimmy, today was sort of a bit unexpected. We saw this quite aggressive match racing, and I don't think it's something that we would have thought when we first saw the AC75, which was a speed machine. Do you think there's a lot more, on the table there to be developed in terms of really going back to old-style match racing, but, taking it up to another level with what can be done with these boats, with the speed and how quickly things change? And also, as we saw, with Ben the other day, when he got a penalty and the boat dropped off and suddenly was dead in the water, so the penalty actually became really huge. There seems to be a lot of edges that are untapped.
Yeah, I think Ben's issue the other day was more system related, and that's why, clearly they were struggling yesterday with that foil can system that we've all struggled with. But yeah, I think it's just natural that it's a new class, and as all of the teams and the crews get more time, they just get more comfortable. And as the racing goes on, it's only natural that it's going to get more aggressive and it's going to get closer. And you're just trying to minimise as many mistakes as you can, but you're just trying to gain every inch you can. So I'm not surprised, and I think it will, assuming the performances are similar, we'll see the boats pretty tight around the racetrack.
But if you, as you said, you felt the Team New Zealand had an edge, given what you've got coming up with the Challenger Series, do you see that's your main chance to get in there and actually beat them with match racing rather than boat speed?
You need boat speed. You know, you can't match race a slow boat against a fast boat and expect to win. There's only so much you can do. But yes, there's a heap of boat speed left. I'd say all of the challengers here would say that. You know, clearly the Kiwis have got an edge at the moment, but we've got a lot of work to do, all of us. We have an advantage of getting the Prada Cup that they don't get. And you always get pushed harder whenever you're racing another boat as opposed to out there training and testing on your own. So that's what we have going for us. But the three of us are going to have to do everything we can to get there.
Michael Burgess, New Zealand Herald. Pete, as Jimmy just pointed out, the challengers have the advantage of the Prada Cup. You're coming into your last 2 days of organised racing. What would be the ideal scenario for you from these last 2 days? What do you want to achieve out of these final 2 days?
Yeah, well, for us, it's very much about learning as much as we can. You know, we've always known that we would have a period here where we don't get as much racing as the Challengers, and you know that's part of the America's Cup. You know, as a defender, you don't get to race in the Challenger Series, but you know at that same time, you know I think Jimmy touched on it, but you know very much as a team we've got plenty to come in terms of performance. You know, and we'll also be pushing super hard to try and make some good steps forward over the next few months.
And you will race against your tender when these races are over? Or alone? How can you train?
Yeah, we can train probably quite similar to what we trained before this. And yeah, I think the other thing we can do is also learn from watching. And today, even watching Luna Rossa and American Magic go at it we found pretty interesting as well. They trying to figure out different approaches and different methodology to pre-starts. And I think like everyone else out there, we enjoyed watching a couple of good races.
One last question, yes, Shirley.
Shirley Robertson, ACTV. A question for Jimmy. I mean, Jimmy, you've seen it all before. I guess most of us in the room will have seen that the Kiwis are perhaps even more than a click ahead in the speed department. There's 2.5 months to go until the Cup. In America's Cup world, what can be achieved in that timescale?
Well, a lot can be achieved. There's no question about that. Yeah, a lot can be achieved. This is a new class, so there is a lot more development left. It's, but the challengers have to do more, because that gap's there already. We really need to go about it and get out there and make sure we make some correct decisions coming up over this time and really utilise the Prada Cup. The Prada Cup's where we can really try and collectively together try and bridge that gap and get there. But yes, can it be done? Yeah, of course it can be done. It's not meant to be easy, the game, and everyone here's been involved in it, and it's, we've just got to, as Ben said, the shore teams will, obviously not be having a Christmas. They'll be flat out as they usually are, but that's sort of the game, and yeah, we've got to do everything we can.
Pete Montgomery.
Yes, Peter Montgomery, 2 questions. First to Jimmy Spittle. We had the impression you were getting a different readout to your co-helmsman. Was that right? The RMS system, could it be that convoluted?
Yes, what happened, we, in the entries, all of our systems were saying the same thing but were wrong. And then at some point during the second race against Goody and the American Magic guys, we overlaid the top mark by a significant margin. And in that one, Francesco's one had the top marks further upwind. My one was correct, but I was on the leeward side, so I couldn't see the top marks. So, it's unfortunately, it's just been happening quite a bit. And, as Pete said, hopefully, we'll get it all sorted, or the RMS system guys will get it sorted for the Prada Cup.
The second question to Peter Burling. Do you agree with Jimmy Spittle that Team New Zealand is a jump ahead, or as far as the description Jimmy used, that Emirates Team New Zealand is ahead of the Challengers? Yeah,
I think it's still hard to tell. I And I say that because, you know, where we're sitting at the moment is kind of where probably the design teams were a little time ago. And I'm sure everyone will be, you know, raising the bar. And I think you just have to look back in history as to how much the boat speeds do improve in the last little period of the Cup. That, you know, everyone here has got a lot coming and a lot to go. So, you know, I think it's pretty exciting, you know, actually getting to check in properly and to get a good benchmark of, you know, where everyone's at. But, you know, I think it's also going to be pretty interesting over the next few months, seeing where everyone ends up.
One last question? No, so we turn to Zoom now. Antonio, ready?
Yes, we are ready. First question comes from Italy. Vittorio D'Albertas is a sailor and sailmaker, but is running a beautiful commentary of the regattas. Go, Vittorio. Vittorio?
You tend to carry less sail area than the other competitors as an average, or at least this is something we noticed. Is this a setup you want to carry on for the future, or you are working to reduce this gap?
Vittorio, we missed the beginning of your question. Please say again.
Yes, it was a question for Paul Goodison. We noticed that you tend to carry a little less square meters of sail area, no, compared to the other competitors in the same races. So we are wondering whether the setup is satisfying for you, or you want to improve this or to go closer to the others.
We're definitely exploring either side of the window, whether you carry more sail area, less sail area. There are obviously gains in both spectrums, whether you, in the higher wind range, obviously carrying less sail area, the boat's able to go faster, a little bit easier to control. But obviously you can get caught out either way. So it's something we're checking in on, and it'd be interesting to see going forward where we end up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Mark Reid, Bay and Delta Yachting Magazine.
This is for Jimmy. Basically, from a visual standpoint, what's it like in the cockpit of these new boats compared to maybe the 72 and the 50 when you're looking around and strategizing? Are you getting the wheel snap that you had on the previous boats? Tell me a little bit about what the view's like from the cockpit.
Well, I only stay on one side, so I only get to see half of the racetrack, really. But, yeah, the view's not too bad, mate. Yeah, it's not a bad view, I've got to say. Yeah, I mean, everything obviously happens fast, which is, you know, similar to the last boats we're in. But, you know, I think everyone's definitely probably compacted a little bit more. We're kind of all in somewhat of trench-style cockpits. But yeah, it's all. Yeah, I think the type of sailing hasn't really changed. You know, it's all about anticipation and looking forwards and just trying to be a step or two ahead when you sort of come together.
Thank you.
And then again, on the wheel, I mean, what's it like driving? Are you getting the snap that you had on the previous on the Cats?
Yeah, I mean, look, the G-forces are still right up there. You know, the boats are pretty cool machines, just how hard you can sort of drive them and push them in some of those manoeuvres. We had one today in one of the entries, probably the quickest turn we've done, and no doubt there'd be quite a sort of G moment there. But yeah, no, it's I'd say similar in a lot of ways. The sort of feeling on the wheel when you're going fast and up over 40 towards 50 knots for sure.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a couple of questions more. Justin Crishall.
Website. A question for Jimmy. Jimmy, how is the splitting the steering role on the boat working for you? And are you wedded to this now for the rest of the America's Cup, or is it a work in progress?
Yeah, I think there's some pros and cons for both systems. You know, to have one guy having to swap, and obviously when he's swapping, it's it's not ideal. However, if the guy that's swapping, he does double the time driving than you do. So, yeah, look, there's pros and cons. I mean, we think there's some upside to it, and we've just got to see really how it ends up. But so far I've really enjoyed the process with Keko. He's got to be one of the best sailors to come out of Italy. And I'm just really enjoying working with him. So yeah, we're excited about it, and hopefully we can just keep growing and get better each time we get out there.
Thank you. Jack Griffin.
Throw it to Ben, but anybody could chime in on this. The class rule requires no self-tacking jib, so theoretically we were going to see the sailors doing more work, trimming the jib, casting off the sheets, but we don't because they're hidden. So Ben, on your boat, who handles the mainsail, or the headsail rather, for the during the maneuvers, and does anybody trim it during the legs, or do you just set it and forget it for the upwind and the downwind? Thanks.
Yeah, it's an interesting question because actually there's a lot of trimming going on, both mainsail and the headsails. And we are using the winches. They might be a little bit hidden, but we've all got to strip the winches. And that's a challenger, certainly for the guys, making sure they don't get any O-boys, overrides. And especially when you're getting down speed and you're doing the maneuvers, either acceleration or tack or jibes. There's a lot. The headsail trim is absolutely critical to picking up the speed and getting the power out of the rig. So, might not look like it, but there's a lot going on there.
Thank you. Last question, Edward Gorman.
Ed Gorman.
Could you talk to us a little bit more about the performance of the boat, perhaps contrasting its straight line speed with the speed through maneuvers? Quite a lot of speculation and commentaries focusing on the amount of time the boat spends with two boards down through the maneuvers, for example, but also that the straight line speed looks pretty good. I'd just like to hear, your thoughts on where the gains are and what you need to do better.
Who do you want to answer? Who?
That's for Ben.
Ben.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think certainly in terms of our performance, you don't want to give too much away, but I mean, it's pretty obvious for people that can see that we're struggling a little bit in the straight line, particularly in the lighter airs and the maneuvers. So we just got to work on that. Like I said the other day, we've got some amazing designers, engineers, sailors. Everyone's working really hard to try and resolve those issues. And I think we made, we had issues with the four-can system today to get around the course, and actually that was the first day of proper racing that we've had against these other teams, so we can start evaluating and making some jumps forwards. So yeah, two-board times, maneuvers, that's absolutely key. Maneuvers are probably more important to the overall track time than straight line. There's some massive gains and losses to be made there. So plenty to focus on over the next 3 weeks.
So it sounds like the way you're sailing the boat is as important as the actual setup.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the complete package, and it's the same in any class of boat, isn't it? You obviously got to have a fast design, and you've got to set that up well, and then you've got to sail it well and race it well. And that whole package has got to come together to get optimum performance. And, for a number of different reasons, we're not quite there yet, but I guarantee you we're working bloody hard to get ourselves there.
Thank you very much. It's over for today. So see you tomorrow for another day here with good conditions. The press conference tomorrow will be after the prize giving. Prize giving first, press conference after. Thank you.